Hello and welcome back to Medium Rare. My name is Rag Reynolds and today we have 3 stories to talk about. Before we get into any of those, I do want to encourage you to check out my Twitter, check out my Instagram, and if you feel like supporting the channel, check out my Patreon. As always, links are in the description down below. And now our first story today comes from Iraq. And now if you're not aware of what's going on in Iraq, they've had some pretty intense protests as of late. The unrest started on the 1st of October when people took to the streets of Baghdad and in the south to express their anger at endemic corruption, high unemployment, dire public services and foreign interference. Now they want to sweep away the entire political establishment. The protesters have blocked roads, oil facilities and ports and clashed with security forces who have routinely fired live ammunition in response. At least 350 people have reportedly been killed and 15,000 injured. The UN and US have urged the government to stop using violence against the protesters and pass electoral reforms and anti-corruption measures. Now obviously this is absolute insanity, this is horrible. 350 protesters have been killed due to security firing live ammunition. We're not even talking about firing rubber bullets or anything of the sort. These security forces are actually firing live ammunition at protesters. That is disgusting. That is insanity. And now that is what we're also talking about today, because the reason we're talking about this today is because we have just had the bloodiest day in the history of these protests. At least 25 people died after security forces cleared bridges, and now the way they cleared these bridges was the security forces, oh, there are protesters over on this bridge. They are blocking the bridge. They're blocking transport. You know what? Let's just open fire on these people. That is literally what happened here. They opened fire and over 25 people were killed. That is disgusting. On the same day, another 4 people died in Baghdad and another 10 in the city of Najaf, where Iran's consulate was also burnt. And what's so insane about all this is these people are marching for legitimate reasons. People are on the streets demanding more jobs, to end corruption, and to get better public services. These aren't people who are just out there to be a nuisance for no reason whatsoever. People are out there protesting for real reasons, and the Iraqi government just decides to gun them down because they're being a nuisance. That is... I keep saying it's disgusting, and honestly, I was shocked when I read this. I have no idea how people can be so horrible. Anyway, this is a story that's maybe worth paying quite close attention to, because the conditions here, the amount of people that are being killed, it is horrible, and I think it's something that we should all be paying attention to. And now our next story today is maybe something that's not quite as severe as the last story. It would be hard to be as severe as that, but there is some racism being thrown around here. So YouTuber Wallace posted on Twitter saying, "Happy Thanksgiving, we're eating turkey Tom. He thought we wouldn't be able to see his racism through the thin veil of comedy. Meanwhile, he's doing this in everyday conversation. So allow me to repeat myself from yesterday when you tried to gaslight me. Go F yourself." And attached to this tweet, you can see D'Angelo has attached some screenshots of Turkey Tom using some slurs. And now the day before he had actually posted this, D'Angelo had also posted another tweet, and in the other tweet he had said, "So a YouTuber Turkey Tom threw a bunch of anti-Semitic imagery in his latest video, and it resulted in a comment section full of anti-Semitism. Wow. If you have to rely on racism for YouTube engagement, A, accept that your content is crap, and B, go F yourself." And here again he has attached a screenshot of the comment section from Turkey Tom's video, where we see a lot of people saying some not so great things. In response to this, Turkey Tom had said, "I am not an anti-Semite and there is no anti-Semitic imagery in my video." And in response to that, D'Angelo Wallace said, "Look, I get that you're either an idiot or pretending to be one, but your comment section is filling up with anti-Semitism for a reason. If that's the crowd you want to associate with, go for it, but just keep in mind that some people have a zero tolerance policy for your bullcrap." And now as far as what Turkey Tom also had to say in response to sort of the racist slurs that he had been using in DMs, DMs. He said, "Damn bro, DM messages that are a year old, very classy," and he followed up there saying, "I'm edgy, probably too edgy, but I'm not racist, lol." Now, as far here as what's actually going on, I had a look at Turkey Tom's video that D'Angelo had claimed had some anti-Semitic imagery in it. That was a video called YouTube Sponsors. I had a look through that video, and while I disagree with a lot of what Turkey Tom was saying in the video, I thought it was a video about something that was very much a non-issue. I personally didn't really notice any sort of anti-Semitic imagery. I'm not sure really what D'Angelo was talking about when he said that. However, there is certainly a point to be made when D'Angelo has pointed out that in the comments, there are a lot of people who are maybe being a little bit anti-Semitic, throwing a lot of comments out there about Jews and all that sort of thing. Personally, I'm not sure how big of an issue this is in comparison to the DMs that D'Angelo has showed with Turkey Tom throwing around certain slurs. I'm not sure how well Turkey Tom can control his own specific comment section. I'm also not knowledgeable enough to know if these commenters are being serious or not. Some people might not care if they're being serious or not, they just think it's unacceptable. That's for you to decide. Now, as far as these DMs of Turkey Tom and the different slurs that he's been using go, if I did have to make some sort of assumption or call, I would say that Turkey Tom probably isn't intending to be racist in these comments. I mean, maybe that's not for me to decide, but the impression I get is that yes, he is just being very edgy, and I do think there is a difference between being edgy and being racist. I believe that it is possible to say a racist thing without being racist. Now, I'm not defending Turkey Tom using these words at all. I do think he should not have been using these slurs. I do think that wasn't good of him to do. I do not stand by that behaviour one bit. However, I do think that is a step far to suddenly label him as a racist over these edgy comments he made when he seems to have been 15 years old and it was over a year ago. I think there is a tremendous difference between someone like Turkey Tom who has maybe said some slurs to try and be edgy when he's only been 15 years old and someone who is actually out there using slurs to put down people of a certain race or a certain other background. Again, not defending these at all, but I do think there's an important distinction to be made here. From what I can see, it does seem like Turkey Tom has moved past that behaviour. He's not doing that anymore, and so I think that's a good thing. Anyway, as far as D'Angelo's criticisms, I'm not sure if there is anything really to be looked into much further at this point. It is something that I will keep my eye on. Maybe he is actually onto something. Maybe Turkey Tom is actually a racist and I just can't see that. Maybe there is something behind these anti-Semitic comments on his videos that I've just not picked up on. I will be keeping an eye on it, and if there is an update, I will let you guys know. But until then, be sure to let me know what you think of this story in those comments down below. Do you think that Turkey Tom's a racist for something he said when he was 15? Personally, I just don't see it. And the final story we're talking about today is Slazo. So Slazo's back in the news because he just uploaded a new video about how he was cancelled and what that was like in his whole experience. Now, if you're not aware, Slazo is someone who earlier in this year had an ex-girlfriend come out against him, make a bunch of accusations, some of them true, some of them false, but the ones that people were most upset about were the false accusations. Many people, myself included, reported on all of this and made videos about how people were cancelling Slazo, and later on, Slazo ended up coming out with a response and clearing most of this up, proving the most serious of the accusations to have been false. And now the reason I wanted to talk about this Slazo story and the reason I want to talk about his new video is because it's something that really it kind of hit me right in the heart. I was watching this, and I'm not someone who's upset easily or someone who really gets too emotionally involved in what I'm looking at, but I really did feel sorry for the guy when I was watching his video, and I do recommend you go check out his new video if you haven't seen it at this point. In this video, he details the whole experience about how before Shay, his ex, who gave all this information out, before she came forward, he had heard that she was going to come forward. So he had a long process where he was sitting there knowing that this is coming and there was nothing he could do about it. He was very anxious, he felt sick, and that alone I thought was something that sounded horrible for him to have to go through. Then obviously this was posted. He said he was actually drunk when she actually posted all the information and the accusations about him. He said that at first he couldn't even look through the accusations. Instead, he was just looking at the responses, and he was very, very upset, very anxious, very feeling ill over the way people were talking about him. He kept saying that people were throwing the R word out about him, which since has been proven to have been false. He then details how he had no idea how to respond. He spoke to lawyers, he spoke to a PR representative, and these people told him, do not respond. They essentially told him to go quiet. They told him to give up on his YouTube channel and to stop making videos and leave things be super vague. And Slazo says that is almost what he did. Slazo made it very clear that these people he spoke to clearly don't have an understanding of how YouTube works. They don't understand that on YouTube, your audience believing you, your audience liking you is very, very important. Whereas these lawyers and PR people are used to working with people outside of YouTube who maybe don't rely on comment sections. Slazo says that eventually someone he trusts did speak to him and convinced him to make his video titled My Side, which is where he cleared everything up, and that had largely a very positive response to it. But one of the main things I personally took away from this video that Slazo made was that after he posted his side and cleared things up, it still didn't feel done to him. To this day, he says he still doesn't feel like it's complete. He still doesn't feel like it's over with. He's got issues trusting people. He feels very paranoid. He feels very anxious, very stressed because he's worried that one of his so-called friends might pull the rug from underneath him, might turn their back on him, stab him in the back at a moment's notice. And that's something that I really do sympathize with him over, because that is not a very good way to live your life, in fear that at any moment someone that you trust might turn against you. Overall, I just thought that his video was very touching, and I really do encourage people to watch it, because I think it's important that we watch this, because Slazo is one of the more big, high-profile cases on YouTube of someone that has been cancelled wrongly. He was wrongly cancelled, everyone was against him, and it turned out that most of the things being said weren't even true in the first place. I think that Slazo's case and his video shows someone, it gives a very good perspective on what it's like for someone who has been wrongly cancelled, the whole journey through all of this, because it really can't be easy. You can see it in the way he speaks, you can tell from his voice, from his facial expressions, the way he acts, that it is hard for him. It hurts. He is still hurting inside because of all this, and I don't wish that sort of thing on anyone. I don't wish anyone to have that sort of false cancelling put on them. That is a horrible thing, and I can't even imagine the extent of what he was feeling during all this. Anyway, I once again want to encourage you to go check out that video, because I do think it's worth a watch, and I think it is very important from this point onwards that anytime there is someone who is maybe needing to be cancelled, we take a second look before we do it, because if we jump ahead too quickly, people can actually get hurt. And that's where I'm going to end today's video, so please let me know what you think about any and all of today's stories in those comments down below. Next week, I'm not going to have any regular medium rare uploads. I'm going to be away on a family birthday. I'm going to be up north in Scotland for a few days. I do intend to have one video out. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more of a me talking to you about my channel type thing, giving you a little bit more information about the future of this channel and about why I started it up, that sort of thing. So if you are interested, make sure to check out that video when it comes out next week. After that, I will be back to regular uploads up until Christmas. But anyway, until next time, make sure you leave a like on this video, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell if you haven't already, and until next time, my name is Rag Reynolds, and this was Medium Rare.